Go ahead.
Helping Parents Heal is a nonprofit organization dedicated to assisting bereaved parents to become shining light parents by providing support and resources to aid in the healing process. We go a step beyond other groups by allowing the open discussion of spiritual experiences and evidence for the afterlife in a non-dogmatic way. Affiliate groups welcome everyone, regardless of religious or non-religious background. Attendance today at this meeting is voluntary, and we are here for the benefit of learning from and sharing with other parents whose child has passed away. It is understood that our discussions are intended to be confidential and not designed to replace traditional therapy or spiritual counseling. However, these Zoom meetings are very healing to parents all over the world, and they are all posted on YouTube so that affiliate members who are not in our time zone can also watch at a later time. Helping Parents Heal offers a wide variety of speakers to allow parents to be informed about many possible ways to heal, to connect with their children, and to learn about the afterlife. The views expressed by our guests do not necessarily reflect those of Helping Parents Heal, and we ask that you take from their presentations whatever may benefit you personally. Welcome, everyone, and thank you, Debra, for being here this evening.
Thank you so much. That was beautiful. And I'm going to quickly read Debra's bio so that we can get on to the things that you want to hear. Debra Diamond, Ph.D., is a former Wall Street money manager, professor at Johns Hopkins University, and regular commentator on CNBC. In 2008, she had a transformational experience that left her with unconventional powers as a psychic and a medium. Today, Dr. Diamond is a spiritual teacher and author, sharing her experience with others who have encountered an extraordinary event for which no logical explanation exists. She is the best-selling author of Diary of a Death Doula, 25 Lessons the Dying Teach Us About the Afterlife, and Life After Near Death, Miraculous Stories of Healing and Transformation in the Extraordinary Lives of People with Newfound Powers. Debra can be reached at debra.diamond@gmail.com, and you can also learn more about her at www.debradiamondauthor.com. So I'm going to go ahead and paste all of that into our chat box so that you're able to see all of that. And without further ado, please join me in welcoming Debra Diamond.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth and Irene. Thanks for having me back again. A quick correction on my email address. It's diamond.debra@gmail.com.
Okay,
so
thanks.
You're welcome. Yeah. So anyway, hi, everybody. And yeah, it's nice to see you. I hope that you're all well, and I'm sending you all my very best wishes for a kinder and gentler 2021. I know it hasn't started out that way, but I was just telling Elizabeth, I know a little bit about astrology, enough to be dangerous. And just to let you know, January is supposed to be kind of rough, and then it's supposed to get better. So, we'll make it through January, and then things will get a little better. And just as a little background for, what's going on, we just entered the age of Aquarius. You've all heard of the age of Aquarius. We've just entered it. Aquarius is an air sign. We have been in earth signs up until it was late December 2020 is when we entered the age of Aquarius. And air signs are all about things that are transmitted through the air, like the coronavirus, but also good things, technology, space travel, vaccinations, healthcare, things like this. So, and this is, we're really entering the age of innovation. The last time we entered the age of Aquarius, the last time these planets were in the same alignment that they are now was, guess when? It was in the early 1400s at the age of exploration, when Columbus set sail for the New World. So we are setting sail, metaphorically for this new world. And none of us can really forecast what it'll be like because nobody's ever experienced anything like this. You know, when Columbus set sail for the New World, he didn't know what he was going to encounter. He didn't know what the New World would be like. He couldn't imagine any of the things that transpired, you know, in the country's history. And I like to think that's what our future is going to look like as well. The age of Aquarius lasts for 150 years. So this is going to be going on for a while, but it's not like any other time that any of us have ever experienced. There's going to be tremendous innovation, tremendous transformation. Aquarius is also the sign of humanity. So, you know, the good part about that is humanity. We can talk about love and kindness and peace and whatnot. But, you know, along with that comes sometimes rebellion because some people, you know, certain groups are excluded. So we've seen some of that already. But I don't want to, I'm not here to talk about astrology. I mean, I could do that for the rest of the night, but that's not what I'm here for. So what I want to talk about with you is something that is near and dear to my heart. I read for a lot of people who've lost, well, children, but I'm a medium. So I read for a lot of people who've lost loved ones, right? And I want to tell you a little bit about how I became a medium because I want you to know that you can do this too. I know it sounds daunting. I know you probably think, what is this lady talking about? I can't do that. But the truth is, well, let me tell you the story and then you can decide for yourselves. And then we're going to do a little fun exercise too. You're not being graded. It's just for fun. So, you know, I had this transformational experience in 2007. I went to an intuition development class in New York because I thought it'd be fun to tune up my intuition. And I apologize to anyone there who's heard this story before. I'm sorry, but I'll go through it quickly. So, you know, in this intuition development class, we had a seance, which I didn't know that was coming. And I was kind of nervous and not real thrilled about it. But in the seance, I had this extraordinary experience where I saw, metaphysically saw about 50 people who had passed. This was nothing that I, you know, was prepared for. I didn't really know what was going on, but this is what happened to me in this class. We meditated. The teacher put us in a meditative state. And when she took us out of it, I had this experience where I saw these people who had passed, relatives of mine, friends and family of other people in the class. And then there were some random New Yorkers in that group too, like some 42nd Street showgirls prancing through the class. But anyway, that was my introduction to mediumship. I didn't know at the time that was even mediumship. I didn't know what was happening, but it was kind of something that I believe spirit wanted me to do, you know? So I resisted it at first. It's not, you know, this was not my plan for my life's work. I'm a money manager, you know, and I was teaching portfolio management at Johns Hopkins in the graduate school. I mean, I wasn't standing around thinking about, gee, I want to be a medium one day. It was nothing that occurred to me. So it took me a while to accept this energy and to accept that I was supposed to use it and work with it to help others. And that part of it I liked. That part was very wonderful to me and very fulfilling. I liked that. But the part about being a medium and a psychic, I wasn't too sure about that. But anyway, I eventually became one and I accepted what happened. And I even went so far as to sign up for training at the Arthur Findlay College. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of Arthur Findlay. Elizabeth, you've probably heard of it. So it's the famous college for psychics and mediums in the UK. And it just sounded to me like this would be something fun and kind of interesting to do. And I signed up for a course there. And then when it came time to go, I was like, why am I doing this? I don't think I really want to do this. But then I figured, well, you know, I've enrolled and I have my plane ticket. I've made all my arrangements. I'll just go. So I went, and there were 125 people in my class. They were from all over the world. They come from every country to Arthur Findlay. The funny thing is the Arthur Findlay College of Mediumship has been around for about 150 years, and it was founded by, guess who? A stockbroker who'd had some extraordinary experience. So anyway, it looked kind of like Hogwarts. You know, it was very British and old and with a lot of tradition. But there were 125 people in the class from all over. And we crowded into the chapel the first night, and we're all sitting on the edge of our seats. And there's a famous medium up on the podium, and he says to us, "You all want to learn to become mediums, right?" And we're all, you know, eagerly nodding our heads. And he says, "Do you want me to tell you how to do it?" And we're nodding. And he says, "If you think you can do it, you can do it." And I thought, I came all the way over here for that. For that. I mean, I thought that, you know, there was going to be like so much involved in this. You know, it was a black box, and it seemed like there must be just so much that I would have to learn and understand. And the truth was, if you think you can do it, you can do it. So there were even people in our class who had brought their spouses and their partners and whatnot. And let me tell you, these spouses and partners did not want to be there. They were kind of dragged along. And by the end of the week, everybody was doing readings, including these spouses and partners who weren't even part of the classes. So anybody can do this. Anybody. You can do it. So I'm going to ask you a question. I don't know if you can answer because you're on mute, but maybe you could type. Is there a chat here?
Yes, there's a chat here, and I'll definitely field questions if you'd like.
Okay.
So go ahead.
So what do you all think is the biggest barrier, the biggest detriment to getting messages from the afterlife? Anybody? Okay, I see one. Mary says self-doubt. Anybody else? Fear, yeah. Shutting my mind off for belief, grief, and sadness. Ego, wow, you guys are good. Believing it's not real, vibration, doubt. Okay, you're good. You're excellent. You're all going to get an A+ because you're all correct. So it's thinking that you can't do it. So I teach classes in intuition development, and I've had people, I have a lot of left brain people in my classes, people from NIH, from the State Department, professionals. Most of my people are professionals. You know, we do exercises in the classes, and we do readings. I teach them how to do readings. And there's always a couple in the class who say, when it's time to do the reading, they say, "I can't do this." And I say, okay, stop right there. When you say "I can't do it," it's almost like we have a little door in our consciousness, and that door just shuts, it closes. But if you say "I can do this," the door just opens up. It's that simple, you know? So I've been able to always get everybody in the class to be able to do a reading, including the people who say "I can't do this," because, you know, I tell them just say "I can do it," and it opens that door, and then the information comes in. So it's the people who said, you know, it's self-doubt, you know, you don't believe, all of that. You're all correct. Ego is, you know, gets in the way of lots of things. You know, it's funny because I have people who come to me and they say, "I'm trying so hard to be a medium." That's their ego, their left brain and their ego here on earth, thinking the harder I work, the better I'm going to be able to accomplish this. And you know what? The metaphysical world is the exact opposite of the linear world. In the linear world, the harder we work, the more successful we're going to be. You know, I have real successful kids. I've been successful. And I know that if I go get more degrees and apply myself, I'm going to be, you know, work hard, I'll be super successful. But in the metaphysical world, you know what it's all, you know how you're successful? You can put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. I'll tell you if you're right. Okay, so don't try so hard, letting go. Right. Staying open, doing nothing. Right. So relaxing, that's it. So relaxing, all of that. The harder you try in the metaphysical world, you're not going to get the results. When you relax, that's when the stuff comes in. And probably all of you have had experiences with intuition, or maybe you've had messages from the other side, from your kids or from loved ones, and they just kind of float in, you know, when you're not thinking, so that's how it works. So you have to be relaxed. So it's true, anybody can do this. It's amazing because, we watch shows on TV and we watch movies about psychics and mediums, and it just seems so, I think to the layperson, it seems so hard to believe, because it's invisible. This ability is invisible. So, we can't imagine how this is taking place, but it takes place in our consciousness. And if we leave the door open, you will get messages. And then your job is to accept them, not to think that it's your ego, not to question them, not to swat it away, not to think that you're going crazy. Your job is just to accept. Now, you can do that with some practice. I'm not saying that, you're going to, after this webinar, you're going to turn this off and, you'll immediately become a medium, because I doubt that you will, but maybe you will. But you have to practice. It's like a foreign language. It is actually a foreign language. So, or like playing an instrument, you have to practice. They don't show you that on TV. They just show these mediums doing their work. A lot of them have trained and practiced for a long time. So, and your job, if you practice, is to accept the messages. And people always ask me, how can I differentiate between the message and my ego? And I tell them, with practice, you'll be able to differentiate the energy. The energy of a message is different than your ego, your head talking to yourself. So, but you have to start out by accepting the messages. And then as you accept them, Spirit will put another message in front of you. They'll say, oh, good, she got that one, or he got that one. Here's another one. So and your consciousness is like a muscle. So the more you exercise it, the stronger it gets. So you could all do this. Now, I'm going to assume that most of you have probably gotten messages from your kids. I am going to assume that. And some of you are probably, have probably thought, I'm not sure if that's them. I hope it's them. It's them. They're trying to communicate with you. So your job is just to accept, okay? And the first time you accept, it'll probably feel a little funny, and you probably will doubt that, it's really a message, or you'll think, maybe I'm not doing this right. You're doing it right. If you accept and say thank you, you've got it. So, and then you just keep doing it. But your kids want to talk to you, and so your job is just to open up that channel. So I want to do a little exercise with you. This is fun. So it's not, don't get stressed out because you're not going to be graded. But what I'm going to do is I am going to draw a picture. So I'm going to draw a picture. And do you have paper and pencil? Oh, I should have asked you that at the beginning. If you don't have paper and pencil, quick, go get one.
I don't think anybody does, but if you could just let everyone rush off, maybe. Okay, people are holding up paper and pencil. Good. Maybe if we take 1 minute break for everyone to quickly get a paper and pencil in case you don't have one.
A piece of paper. I'm sorry, I forgot about this, but just anything. It could be anything. And if you have a newspaper nearby, you can draw on that. It doesn't matter. So yeah, we'll give you just a minute, and then, well, actually, I could talk while they're doing that, right?
Yeah, of course you can.
So let me keep talking because I'll explain what we're going to do. So I am going to draw a picture, and then I am going to send this picture out to you, okay? I'm going to send it to you telepathically. And then I want you to draw whatever you think you got. Okay, and then I'm going to show you, after you draw whatever you think you got, I'm going to show you what I drew, and then hopefully some of you will show me what you drew, and then I'm going to talk about that. Okay, so don't get stressed out. This is you're not being graded. This is for fun, but I'm doing it also because I kind of want to show you how this works. So while maybe you're still getting your pencils and paper, but while you're doing setting yourself up, I'm going to start drawing. Okay. Now, if you start to get something now before I even start drawing, put that on your piece of paper. As I'm drawing, if you get something, put that on your piece of paper. So you don't have to wait until I'm all done. I will tell you when I'm done, but you don't have to wait. So I'm going to draw a little drawing. And if you are getting something already, go ahead, go for it. You can start. And if you haven't gotten anything, that's okay too. Okay, so I made a drawing and now I'm going to send it to you, okay? So here we go. I'm going to close my eyes. You can close your eyes if you like, however, whatever feels comfortable for you. There's no right way. And now let me send this to you. Okay, so you can take this time to draw. Whatever comes in, just draw that. I'll give you another minute or so, and then I'd like to kind of see what you guys have done, and I'll show you what I did. Okay, is there anybody who would like to share, just hold up what they drew? Sometimes it's a little hard to see, you know, here on Zoom, but if you've got something, I'd love to see it. And I'm gentle. I'm not going to tell you you did anything wrong, or it's hard to do anything wrong with this. So go for it. Come on, you guys. You're strong people. Somebody go first. Elizabeth, aren't you an artist?
Oh, goodness. Irene is holding something
Irene.
up. I typed in what I thought you said, so I'm going to see if what everybody else is coming
Irene,
up.
put it right up against.
Yeah, it's hard to see, unfortunately. Let me see if I can get you on pin here.
Oh, fun. Okay. Oh, okay. I see that. And what's at the bottom? Because
I've
I
got
see.
some flowers and some people.
Okay, this is great. This is so great. Okay, perfect. All right. Anybody else?
So we have Joan. I'm putting her on pinned here, and I'm asking her to unmute. Joan, could you just, let's see, I'm putting you in the spotlight.
Yeah, I got the same sun as Irene. And then a couple flowers and just a house tree, mountains, and some birds and butterflies.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much for doing that. Beautiful.
Good job. So let's see if there are other people that we can see. Mercedes is wanting to, so I'm asking you to unmute, and maybe you could just show us what you have as well. I'm adding a pin.
I just saw a puppy with spots and an eye on the corner and the sun right here.
Okay.
but the tree was not clear. That's what I saw. The poppy that wanted to play. That's what I was laughing.
Well, you guys are good. Okay, thank you. Excellent.
Okay, good. So now we, let's keep going. We have a lot of people explaining what they drew in the side box here. Does anyone want to show? Kate is showing right now. I'm asking you to unmute, and then I'm going to pin you as well. There we go.
I was rolling around in self-doubt, but I felt a tree, a mountain, a bird in the sky, a river, and it's all kind of quick and scribbly.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Okay. You guys are really, I have to say, you're very good. Okay.
Okay, so let's see. Is there anybody else who would like to show while we're here?
Roseanne is waving, Elizabeth. Let's
Hi,
ask her to
Roseanne. Let's
unmute.
ask you to unmute. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and pin you. There you go.
Okay, my artwork might be a little, I've got a moon and a star and a cow jumping over the moon. I don't know if you can see it. But
Yes, definitely. We can see it.
all right.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect.
So
Okay.
good job. Anybody else that wants to show? Carol and Dave. Okay, I'm asking you to unmute as well. And then I'm pinning you.
Okay, I've got a beach with the sun and then flowers and a palm tree, but it's a beach with a boat on the ocean.
So,
Okay.
you know, what would be kind of interesting is if you say where you guys are from or put it in the chat, because I want to make the point that energy is non-local. So you're all coming up with, you know, your images, and it's not like we're all in the same room together. I mean, we're in the same virtual room, but you're all over the world, I assume. So
Tucson, Arizona.
Tucson,
Okay,
okay.
good. So wonderful. And Anna is raising her hand as well. So Anna, I'm asking you to unmute, and then I'm also going to pin you.
Okay, this elementary drawing was, I don't know how I did it, but it was like I was trying to draw 4 angels. Then I realized that that was myself, and, you know, like going up towards, you know, heaven, and at the bottom is the earth, the world, streets.
Okay, good. And so Anna is in Philadelphia, actually, just to let you know. And she's also one of our affiliate leaders. And so en español, which is wonderful. So we have more people here. Thank you, Anna. I'm going to go ahead and ask Teresa to unmute and maybe pin you as well.
I'm from Erie, Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw 2 people holding hands on a beach with the sun.
Wow.
So I'm not sure. I wasn't looking at the Lake Erie, but more of like an ocean, it seemed like.
Okay, wonderful. Since I don't know what we're supposed to be looking for, that looks beautiful to me. Good job. And thank you so much for sharing. So I'm going to remove your pin, and then I'm going to move to Claire. Claire, go ahead, and I'm asking you to unmute and then pinning you there.
Okay, I'm from Texas, and before you sent it out, I drew a little cabin on a lake with a little sailboat, trees like I've seen in other people's drawing. And then after you sent it out, all I drew was a big sun. So
Okay.
I don't know the meaning, but.
Perfect. Well, I think that Debra wants to get to the meaning and to let everybody know. So thank you all for participating. And let's go ahead and go back to Debra and see what she has to say. And thanks everyone.
Yeah, thank you. You guys are incredible. So I'm going to show you, let's see, I'm going to show you what I drew. So can you see this? Ignore the writing at the top. Those are just my notes, but can you all see that? The tree, the sun,
Yes.
moon, star, this
Let
is
me-
like, yeah, cat. And then there's the two lines at the bottom. So many of you got, I would say 80% of that. You know, a lot of you got bits and pieces. I think, well, most of you got a lot. So, so what does that, what does that mean? That means that you can get messages. I sent you this telepathically, and you got it, and you got the right thing. So let me just mention kind of how this works, because there's a couple of things that might be helpful to know. So some of you had, let's see. I think somebody mentioned that they had a beach, and somebody else had a river. They said they had a river, and somebody else said they had a beach. I drew these two lines at the bottom. So these are lines. They don't mean anything. They don't mean river. They don't mean beach. They don't mean rainbow. Somebody always says they drew the rainbow. So they don't mean any of that. They mean lines. Somebody always draws a sailboat. They take this shape, this triangle, and they turn it into a sailboat. And then they say, I drew the sailboat. So, so this, let's see what else. Somebody will draw an animal. I drew this cat thing, but people draw animals and they label them. Sometimes some of you may have done this, where they actually label what they drew. They write the word next to the image. So in mediumship and in psychic work, all the work is done in symbols. We get our messages, psychics and mediums get their messages largely in symbols. And the symbol is a symbol. I mean, you might get two lines. Now, the difficult part is we like to try to label things. So when we see two lines, we say, oh, I saw the beach, or I saw the river, or I saw the rainbow, or whatever. But the reality is the message is two lines. Or if you got a circle, and you turned it into, you called it something else, you got a circle. That's the message. If you ever do mediumship training from a good teacher, they'll tell you that the message is just that, just that symbol, or just, what you got. You don't embellish it. You don't turn it into something else. You don't make a story around it. I may have told this story the last time I was here, but Sylvia Browne, the famous psychic, was visited by a parent of one of the girls who was held hostage in the basement in Cleveland, Ohio. I don't know if you guys remember that story. There were 3 women who were held hostage for 10 years in the basement of this person's house in Cleveland. And after the first 5 years, the mother of one of the girls went to Sylvia Browne, who was a famous psychic, and asked Sylvia Browne, where is my daughter? And Sylvia Browne said, she's dead. That mother died. That mother died before her daughter was released. And the press got hold of this story, and they went to Sylvia Browne and they said, why did you tell this mother that her daughter had died? And Sylvia Browne said, I saw her being held down. That was the message. She's held down. That's what she should have said. But instead of, so even professional psychics and mediums can get it wrong. So instead of saying, I see her held down, she embellished it. She got her left brain involved and she turned it into something else. She turned it into she's dead. I may have told you this story last time I was here about a woman I read for a number of years ago. I didn't know her. She came to me for a reading. I saw her father, and her father was standing in a room full of books. And I said, I didn't know if her father was alive or had passed. And I said, did your father have something to do with books? And she said, yes, he worked for the Library of Congress. And I said, well, he has something for you. And he had something in his hand. He held out his hand, and he had this strange thing in his hand. And it was a hot dog sandwich. Did I tell this story the last time? I don't remember, but it was a hot dog sandwich. It was a hot dog and a potato roll. Can you imagine going to a medium and that's the message that you get from a medium? a hot dog sandwich, but that's what he had in his hand. So, far be it from me to, I just pass the messages along. That's all. That's my job. I just pass it along. So I said, he's got something. And she said, okay. And I said, it's a hot dog sandwich. And you know what happened? She burst into tears. Now, she was a friend of my oldest son, and my son spoke to me a couple weeks after that and said, that was really strange about her reading. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, well, didn't she tell you? And I said, no. And he said, well, turns out her father had passed. Her family were vegetarians. They ate one thing that wasn't vegetarian. It was a hot dog sandwich that her father made. So that's called proof of the living mind. He came in with this message to let her know, I'm here. It's your dad with my hot dog sandwich that I always made for you guys. So she knew it was him. Now I could have said to her, your dad's here with a message and he remembers going to the ballpark with you and getting hot dogs, or he remembers the barbecue. I could have embellished it and turned it into a story, but I didn't. I just said, he's got a hot dog sandwich. That was the message. And my job is to pass that on. So the same thing with you, when you hear something, the message is just what you hear. You don't have to embellish it. You will find out, probably you'll get more, and so your job is just to accept, even if it sounds weird. Now you could ask for more information. You could ask, you could say, I can you make it clearer, or can you, give me more information? This is not a perfect science. Again, it's not like the linear world. So it takes some getting used to, but I am convinced that all of you can do this. I mean, with no training at all, you all got like A++, the people that showed me what you had. And I feel like the rest of you all had, similar kinds of experiences. So I know you can do this. So you don't have to, train to be a medium. You can practice on your own, So, but again, the messages come in when you're relaxed, so don't go sit in the corner and say, I'm going to try so hard. When you're relaxed, when you're washing the dishes, I have a client who gets her messages when she irons. When you're doing any kind of repetitive task, cutting the lawn, washing the dishes, ironing, walking is great meditation, something quiet and repetitive. That's oftentimes when these messages come in. So I don't have enough time to teach a whole class to you tonight, but I wanted to do this because I know that you can do it, and I want you to be able to get messages from your kids, and if you want them. I'm sure some of you already are getting them, but some of you are probably wishing you could hear from them, and going to mediums and paying mediums money and trying to find a good medium and all that. And I mean, that's fine, but you don't want to become dependent on mediums. So anyway, I want to leave the rest of the time for questions. If you guys have questions, I want to thank all of you for being here tonight. You're all wonderful and my heroes. So, and Elizabeth is my superhero. She's like Wonder Woman. So she's like, you're not like from this world, honey. You're special. So in a good way. So.
Oh, thank you. And boy, oh boy, we do have questions. And I feel just so in awe of the fact that you've done all of these incredible studies, obviously teaching at Johns Hopkins, being a money manager, doing all these other things, like so many other amazing mediums that we've met along the way, like Suzanne Giesemann, who had her career in the military beforehand, and then all of a sudden something happened to her that made her want to be able to go into this. For all of us, we have a totally different journey, which is having a child pass. And I think that every single one of us on here has been completely transformed by that happening, and not always in a bad way. I think that being able to know that there's more, being able to want to read every single book that exists to be able to know about exactly what is out there and how we can communicate with our children. And I think it's fabulous that you're teaching us these methods, and that people are seeing that it's so easy to actually tune in to what someone else is saying and be able to make something that actually looks a lot like the picture that you were portraying in the beginning. So I appreciate that. I do, let's see. First of all, there's lots of questions now. So let's see. First of all, is it possible to self-hypnotize and to eliminate the self-doubt? That's an interesting question. Do you know anything about how people can go about maybe doubting themselves a little bit less on the beginning of this journey and being able to just be open to receiving?
Yeah, I mean, as I said earlier, I mean, it's a good question. And, you know, you just have to say to yourself, it takes training and practice, but you have to say to yourself, I can do this, you know, so it's a conscious decision to do that, to say I can do this. After some time, you won't have to do that anymore, because you'll start to get messages and you'll start to accept them, and it's sort of like greasing the wheel. So, you know, it will become more natural. But at the beginning, I think everybody goes through this, and there is self-doubt, and, you know, this is something new, and, you know, you're not used to it. But you can consciously say to yourself, I can do this. I can do this. You know, maybe when you're meditating, you can ask to receive messages from your loved ones, and just put a little postscript on there, I can do this, you know, and then you'll see. Now, don't have any expectations. You know, this is not the kind of thing where, again, it's not like the linear world. It's, you know, the messages are going to come when they come. So, but you can't force it. So, but I feel like tonight, you know, you saw how it worked. I mean, you were, well, first of all, we have a big group here, and the energy is very high. And you guys have been through a spiritually transformative experience, which means that you're open now. You're open. So you already have, you know, you're already like in graduate school. You know, you skip college. You know, now you're in graduate school, and so, you know, you're several steps ahead. But you have to practice. It takes some practice. Now, if you have a friend or a family member or some people you can practice with, I would say do that, because it's easier to get messages when there's group energy. You know, if you go off in the corner by yourself and try to do this, it's harder, because there isn't as much. There just isn't as much energy. So it's not impossible, but it's harder. So you could do it with your friends online. I mean, you don't have to physically be in the same place. So if you have some friends, you know, or you're doing a helping parents heal virtual meetup, try it. I'll give you another quick, we don't have time to do this, but I'll just tell you how it works. You can pair up, and like, so Elizabeth, let's say, is going to be my partner. So I think of a fruit, okay? And I think of the taste of the fruit. I think of the color of the fruit, the shape of the fruit, the texture of the fruit, the scent of the fruit. And I get it in my mind, and then I send it to Elizabeth. And then she, you know, hopefully she's going to get something. So that's an exercise that's very easy to practice. You could do it with a fruit or a vegetable. You can take turns. And the reason that you want to think of the shape and the color and the scent and the taste and all that is because, I don't know if any of you know about the clairs, but there's clairgustance, which is taste. There's clair olfactory, which is scent. There's clairvoyance, which is the ability to see something. There's a lot of different ways we can get messages. And if you practice this little exercise, you will find out how you get your messages. Some people will taste that fruit. Some people will smell the fruit. Some people will see the fruit. They'll see the color. They'll see the shape. So it's a very simple thing to practice. You can do it virtually with your friends or family members or whatever. Just practice. All this stuff takes practice. So, just know that you can do it. you know,
That's
a lot.
wonderful. Yes, and we can. You're exactly right. And our kids want to communicate with us just as much as we want to communicate with them. Galen is saying, loved your book, Diary of a Death Doula. How long were you actually doing that work? And are most doulas mediumistic?
So I've done it for a number of years. I had to stop during the pandemic for various reasons, but in terms of, I don't know about most doulas being mediumistic. I mean, I really wouldn't know, but I feel like a lot of hospice workers and nurses in particular are very, very, very connected. You know, I read for a lot of hospice workers. I don't know who anybody is when they come to me, but you know, the hospice workers, when they come to me, I sit down and see, I see auras, I see chakras, I see souls. I'm not normal, so I see inside bodies. And when I see these people who work in hospice, I don't know that they work in hospice, but I see all around their crown chakras, I see souls. That's the first thing I see. And then I say to them, do you work for hospice? And then I've only gotten it wrong once. One time I said to somebody, do you work for hospice? And she said, no, I'm a gerontologist. And I was like, okay, same thing. So, but those people, especially the nurses, they deal with the patients in a different way than the doctors do. They spend a lot more time with the patient. They deal with them in a different way, and they see plenty. They see plenty. So those people, I don't know if they would call themselves mediumistic, but they're very connected. Most of them very connected.
That's beautiful. And they are, and they're experiencing things that make them also not fear death, obviously. I think this question's really important because we get it frequently, and I'd love to have your opinion on this. Tina's asking, do our children stop sending us signs as time passes? I feel like I am not getting as many signs as I did last year. He passed 14 months ago.
I mean, it's hard to generalize, but I can't generalize on that. So, you know, I can't tell you, but the answer is that, you know, on the other side, they can continue to communicate with us always. And, you know, but there's no way to predict when we're going to get those messages. I know from reading for parents, they want those messages. And, you know, they'll say to me, I haven't heard from my son, daughter, you know, for so long. I'm so, you know, and they're crying and they're upset and everything. Well, you can't have expectations about this. This is not the linear world. You know, they're not on some kind of program. So, you know, you'll hear from them when they want, or, you know, they may be, see, now the thing is, they may be in touch with you and you just may not know this. I mean, I'm thinking of someone I read for recently who was so upset. She lost her daughter about a year ago, and she at first was hearing from her a lot, and then she said she wasn't hearing from her. And then it came out in the reading that her appliances, a lot of her appliances were having a lot of electrical activity. Yeah. And I don't know if any of you know this, but, you know, our loved ones on the other side try to surf the electromagnetic waves here on Earth. They will interfere with televisions, radios, microwaves, cellular phones, all of that. So, you know, so you may be looking over here and they're over here, you know, so it's, you know, just don't have any expectations. You know, many of them are communicating with you and you just, you know, are thinking, you know, well, I'm used to getting it this way. As they're over there for a while, you know, they often get more experienced at communicating too, you know, and may communicate in other ways. So just stay open. And, you know, and if you've had this experience, I've read from many people who've told me, you know, they always whisper because they don't want anyone to think they're crazy. You know, I turned on the TV and I saw my son on the TV. You know, there was this wavy pattern and then my son was there. You know, okay, I'm good with that. I mean, I've had people who have have their cell phones from their loved ones who've passed, and the cell phones are disconnected, right? They, Verizon is no longer the carrier. It's just a cell phone. It's just a piece of metal. And they start getting messages on these cell phones, So, you've heard of this, right, Elizabeth?
Oh, yes, definitely. Yeah.
Right. I mean, so they're very clever on the other side. They will use whatever mechanism they can to communicate with us.
Well, and Linda is saying, my daughter passed 20 years ago and I'm still getting messages from her. And I just want to say that, Morgan, if I counted the number of times every day that I get a sign from Morgan and from Chelsea, I keep telling myself I have to write a book about this. I was speaking to a gentleman the other day whose daughter just passed, and I was telling him right on my patio, I am 100% sure that he's with Morgan and Chelsea and that they're having a blast. And I looked outside of my wall and there were 3 golden eagles sitting in the tree. And these 3 golden eagles were enormous. They were about a foot. Told him, I'm sorry, I've got to take a picture of this to send this team. Is one issue that we don't necessarily always acknowledge and recognize the signs. So recognize and acknowledge maybe is the better way of saying it. So I'm glad that you're saying that you have had people who don't think they're getting these signs, but they're happening throughout their house in their electrical appliances too. Let's see. So Kimberly is saying, my son has messed with electricity from the day he left this earth, lots and lots, and he has dropped more calls than ever. Oh, he dropped more calls than ever. So yes, and also going back, it's interesting to me because I also have people saying that they have dream visits, and Kimberly's saying, am I dreaming about my son or is he visiting me in my dreams? What's the difference? Is there a way that you can?
Great question. So Kimberly, we had, so when your child or your loved one comes into your quote unquote dream, that is a visitation. It's not a dream. So, most people refer to it as a dream because that's what they think it is, but you can tell the difference because a visitation is so vivid that it could have happened 10 years ago and it feels like it just happened this morning. It's so vivid because it's them, it's their consciousness, which is so alive and so vibrant and so full coming in. And they generally come in because they want you to know that they're here, that they love you. Now they can't stay for real long, but people will tell me, I felt them kiss me, or I felt their hand on my chest, or I saw them, or I woke up in the middle of the night, I saw them at the bottom of the bed. So unlike a dream, there's nothing else bolted onto this. You know how in dreams it's just like all this extraneous stuff and you wake up in the morning and you can't remember anything. But with the visitation, it's just them. Now you may see them, you may hear them, you may feel them, but it's just them. And it's very purposeful and intentional on their part. They are coming in. So, I always ask people when I'm doing readings, well, it comes out in a reading, generally when I'm reading for someone, I'll see that, their loved one is like, they've come in 6 times and, in visitation. So then I ask and they say, yeah, I've had some dreams with them. So that's what they do if they can. And the reason they come in when you're sleeping is because that's when that door, remember I said, you have that door in your consciousness, that's when it's open. It's not open when you're like, at work or when you're at the grocery store, or when you're getting gas. I mean, you're kind of concentrating on what you're doing. But when you're sleeping, your consciousness is open. And on the other side, they don't know the difference between night and day. It doesn't matter. All they know is that door's open, I'm coming in. So that's what they do.
That's beautiful. And it's funny because Roseanne is saying we miss a lot as humans. It's true that kind of holds us back from being able to see everything that we're supposed to be seeing and that our kids would like for us to see. There are so many more questions as well, but I want to just let you know that everyone is telling us in the chat box how much they appreciate you and how wonderful this was this evening. We have just a few minutes left. Is it possible to leave us with some words of wisdom as we move forward about the connection that we have with our kids and how we can better connect, and possibly ask you back again so that you can help everyone do this? Yes, thank you, Debra, for the gift of your wisdom. This was great. Thank you so much. There's so many people saying that. So
Thank you, Elizabeth.
maybe just
wonderful. And
well,
you're my idol. So, I guess, the only thing I want to maybe as a postscript add on is that please, everyone, don't say, I don't hear from my loved one. I never hear from him or her, I just can't do it. Because, when you say that, spirit is like, wait, did she say, I never get messages? I can't do this? That's what they hear. So I know it's a hard habit to break, but if you can just try to say, I can do this, I can get those messages, just keep that door open. That's like, these are very fundamental, easy things to do. It's not that complicated. So, but you have to train yourself. So, and I know you can do it. And the other thing I will say is we are now entering into, because of COVID, which is just kind of an excuse for what's happened with lots of things. The whole planet is going through a spiritual transformation now, and consciousness is being elevated, which is going to make it easier for all of us to make these connections. Okay. So, you guys have gone through your own spiritual transformation. Now you're going through another one because of the recent events. So, you've been like doubly inoculated. So you should have very high frequencies and be able to do this work. If you can't do it today, not to worry, you'll be able to do it. You just have, I gave you a few tools. If I come back, I'll show you maybe a few other things. And, I just wish you all from my heart, really, so much love. And you're all just really special people. So thank you for, being on this call with us tonight.
well, thank you. And I just have to quickly tell you, so much insight. Many thanks. Fantastic. Thanks so much. Thank you all. Thanks, Debra. Thank you so much. This was so helpful. Thank you so much, Debra. I mean, it just keeps going on and on. Thank you, Debra. Such great information, and love the we drawing exercise. Thank you, Debra. You've given me renewed hope. I think that's the most important thing, is that don't ever give up hope that you're not going to be able to talk to your kids, because all of us can do this. And obviously with Debra starting out doing completely different things, and then now being able to communicate the way that she does, we can all do it. And I appreciate Debra allowing us to know that as well. And hopefully maybe you'll be willing to come back and do another exercise with us and talk about this more. But in any case, thank you so much for coming this evening. And thank you all for being here. And if Irene has already unmuted everyone, we always love to
Thank you,
have
Debra. It was a
people.
great night.
So great. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
very
you
much.
so much.
Thank you, Debra.
Bye.
Thank you so
Debra.
much.
Thank you.
so much.
Join us tomorrow night.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good
Bye,
night.
everybody.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone. And we have
Good night.
meetings every night. So please join us tomorrow. Yes. And
night.
thank you, Irene, for typing us in there.
Thank
And
you. Thank you, Debra.
Thank you. See you soon, everyone. Take care.